People, hello, brethren. This is my true story to finding true love in a godly relationship. I used to be that kind of person that lived for pleasure. I used to be that person that lived for the booze, that lived for the women, that lived for the accolades. But now I've found Christ, and this is my true story. If you want to hear the full story, stick till the end of this video, and I promise that you are never going to leave as you came because you are going to learn one thing or the other to help you navigate your way through to finding a godly and true love. Yes, I used to be that guy that always loved women, loved sex, but never ever liked commitment. I dreaded that word, commitment. But you see, the thing about life as a believer is everything about you is intentional. Everything about you is about commitment because the standard of our living is Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ was committed to his purpose. So if you want to be Christ like, if you call yourself a Christian, you have to be intentional about everything you do. You have to be intentional about your work. You have to be intentional about your relationships. You have to be intentional about your friendships. You have to be intentional about even leaving your house to go out. Everything about you changes. Everything about you. It's not about micromanaging your life, but it's about seeking God's face and His will in whatever you do, because you have to live with purpose. Before you gave your life to Christ, you were living on on borrowed time. You were living anyhow you deemed fit, because you thought the world did not have any bearing. You thought there was no owner of this world. You thought you owned your life. But now that you found Christ, you have to be intentional and you have to be purposeful about everything you do. Now, back to my story. I came from a broken home. This is not an excuse, but the trauma and the drama that came with broken homes really, really broke me, and it did a number on me. And I thought that was the way to live. As a matter of fact, my whole life, I thought when I get married, I will be cheating on my wife, because I thought as long as you can provide for your wife, as long as you can provide for your children, you can protect them, then as a man, you are allowed to do whatever you can. But what I did not understand is, how about your wife? How about your children? I did not see it coming. I did not know how it was going to destroy their lives, because my life was almost destroyed because of the broken home I came from. So I saw it as normal. I saw it as the standard. I didn't know it was trauma that was all working on me. I thought that was the normal. That was the norm. So I felt the children could cater for themselves and I could go about doing whatever I want to do with my body. And I didn't think of how it was going to affect my wife and my children. Now, one thing I did not really understand, I didn't take my time to think deep, is how about if I catch diseases and I bring it and give it to my wife and we both end up dead? How about the children? That was a selfish way of living. You see, I used to be that guy that loved booze. I drank for a living. In fact, my whole life while I was younger, while I was an adolescent, when I was thinking of getting a job, the only reason why I needed a job was to be able to sustain a home and save a lot of money for drinking every day. Drinking was the priority of why I wanted to work, because I wanted that life that I could afford to drink at whatever time I want and get whatever lady I want to sleep with at any time I want. But I failed to understand that that was not living, that was me wasting my life away. But the fact is, I did not grow up with a lot of role models around me. I grew up with a lot of people whom I thought were my role models, but I did not know they too had their trauma, because they too did not have good role models. And that is why environment is very important for your kid to grow in a very good environment where there are good role models. As a parent, you are the best person that your child would emulate. So when you are living your life, know that your children are looking at you. People are looking at you. A lot of people are looking up to you for guidance and for direction. So do not live for you, but learn to live for people around you. Not in a way of people pleasing, but in a way of self respect and a way of discipline. So people who will come after you will have a standard of living. You know, anytime I tried to date a girl, I had only one thing in my mind before I gave my life to Christ. And that was the only thing I had was how I was going to sleep with the lady and dump her. And that was what I have been doing all through my life. But a moment came when God arrested me and I gave my life to Christ. There was no longer running for me because I no longer saw any use or need for that kind of life. I lived that kind of life for over 15 years, more than 1.5 decade. And there was nothing that was coming out of it. It was only pain, it was misery and despair. It was all in a circle. It was a pattern that I learned from my elderly ones that I saw coming. So I thought that was the life, but I felt very empty inside. I was a shell. I was a walking dead man, but I didn't even know about it. I thought I was having fun. It got to a point where I could not even sleep except I had a very hard dosage of alcohol in my system. And in those days, I could be sleeping next to a lady. I could even be drunk. And these are the things I thought I wanted. But I'll be right beside these ladies and I'm there drunk and I can't still sleep. That means even those things that I thought were the things that mattered could not cut it for me anymore. I was very, very empty deep inside. And so I cried out to God and asked him that, please, God, I was born a Christian. I've always been a Christian, but I've never believed. I've never practiced Christianity. My words and my actions were contrary to what a Christian was supposed to be. And it wasn't an overnight epiphany sort of thing, it was a gradual process. God answered my prayer and God transformed me from inside out. And that was when I began to see things a little more clearer. All the things I thought I wanted, I did not want anymore. All the friends I used to have, I did not understand them when we were talking anymore, and they thought I was arrogant or I was acting out of character. They thought I was joking. Basic talk that we used to talk turned into arguments, and the environment became too toxic for me to operate in. The girlfriend I had back then, a 3 year old relationship I had with a woman. This was a woman that was always trying to draw me closer to God in her own understanding. She thought she knew God. She was always drawing me closer, telling me to come close to God. And mind you, this is a lady we sleep with. I sleep with. We sleep together with each other at any given time. She allows me to drink. She doesn't see anything wrong in drinking. But she's always telling me she wanted me to come close to God, asking me to follow her from this prayer house to the other. But her own life was not reflecting Christ. She was even threatening me at one point that if I don't want to come close to God, that she was going to end the relationship. But those were just her words. Her actions were very contrary to what a Christian was supposed to be because Christianity does not encourage fornication. But this lady was fornicating with me. So I thought, what standard of Christianity is this? If this is what Christianity stands for, then I don't want anything, I don't want to be a part of it because to me, this was hypocrisy. Because even I wasn't really practicing Christianity, but I knew what a real Christian should be. Because in Sunday school, when I was little, they taught us a lot of things. I knew about the Ten Commandments, and I knew about fornication and the dangers that comes with it. So we're engaging with it, and you're telling me that I want to draw you away from God. You are trying to draw me from God. I saw a lot of things wrong, but I wasn't spiritually sound, so I couldn't discern what uh, what God really expected us to do in a relationship. But lo and behold, when I gave my life to Christ, I started seeing cracks in what I thought was a good Christian that my ex-girlfriend was. There were a lot of things that were wrong with her Christianity. She did not read the Bible. She did not study the word. She wasn't practical in living her life in a Christ-like manner. She was only religious. And that was when I got to understand that, whoa, this lady is not actually a believer. She's just a religious person. Because now I told her I was not going to be having sex with her any longer. In fact, I was not going to be in an uncompromising position with her anytime. We wouldn't be in the same room. And she was asking me, she was making mockery of me. Whoa, go ahead now. We have seen you. Even Father will not be behaving like this. Like, when did you turn into a Christian that you are behaving like this? You are being holier than thou. And I was like, that is my take on it. I am not going to compromise my faith. The Bible was clear about honoring your body because your body is the temple of God. So I was not going to be indulging in anything that concerns sex or dishonoring my body, which is God's temple. And a lot of things went wrong, and we went our separate ways because my values and my principles were no longer aligning with her. Many things went left. Things that used to go right before. A lot of things I liked about her turned out to be things that were not godly to me. They were not biblical. A lot of things she called Christianity were not are not in the sound doctrines of the Bible. So went our separate ways, and I went on a quest for love. Hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is going to be the most interesting part of this video. And even if you don't take home anything from this video, this is where you are going to learn. Because this is where I'm going to teach you how to find a godly lover, a godly relationship. You know, a lot of people in the world just go about trying to date on social media. They may also meet people they are physically attracted to. They'll be like, whoa, how are you? Fine. I like your this, I like your that, and that's how what goes on. I like your smile, I like your body. Things that are physical. And they go about and fall in love with each other. I'm here to tell you that that is not love because you know absolutely nothing about these people aside from their physical attributes. I'm going to ask you a question. Before you go to a job, you will be interviewed because they have to assess you and see if you will suit the environment where they will be hiring you because they have a standard. Before you go into a school, they have to interview you or give you a test or assignment so that they can ascertain if your level of intellect will be able to will be sustainable in that environment of their education. Before you even get married, I think most people, like in the African setting, the parents are going to ask a lot of questions to see if you will be fit for their child. And if all these things are like that, if all these structures are like that, people ask questions before they allow people into things that doesn't even really concern your life. How much more of a person that you are going to allow into your life? Sometimes people that you allow into your body, people that you will be sharing the rest of your life with. I want you to take a little moment to reflect on that. These are people you are going to be sharing the rest of your life with. These are people that you will be allowing into your body. You will be sharing your bodies and you are going to share your blood with each other and procreate. You are going to make children, to make a family with these people. And you just go about randomly telling people, I love you. That is not how it works. Of course, it might work in the world, but it doesn't work in the world of believers because it will be a make believe if you think you can just get a random person from the street and marry them and start a family. No matter how strong you are as a Christian, if you marry someone who you are unequally yoked with, or you are not spiritually on the same level, and the person is not even trying to match your level spiritually, I promise you that you are going to fail. Your spiritual life is going to be in disarray. So this is what I'm going to tell you, how I got my own love, in my quest for love, how I found the girl of my dreams, who happens to be a very, very godly person and a loving person. Now there is a difference. I'm not telling you how to get a religious lover. I'm not going to coach you on how to get someone who is holier than thou. I'm going to teach you how to get someone based on the Bible's principles and teachings, how to evaluate someone and see if you are equally yoked with them, if you are spiritually on the same level, if they are spiritually mature, if they are God inclined. First of all, when you meet someone, you need to start by asking them about what their intentions are for the future and see if you see yourself working out that goal towards meeting that requirement for that future with that person. If you don't see yourself in that realm, working out with that person towards that goal to achieve in the future, that means your future does not align with that person. And secondly, you have to ask that person what kind of work they do now and what kind of work they intend to do in the future. Thirdly, you need to ask them what kind of family they intend to raise. What kind of family, what kind of orientation, what kind of values do they need to put into their children? Ah, First of all, I didn't mention, because this is a godly channel, so I did not mention the fact that you have to ask the person if the person is born again, because I believe everyone who is on this channel is born again. But in case if you did not get that or you are not born again, first of all, you have to be born again. You have to be everything that you are looking for in any person you are looking for it. First of all, if you are looking for someone who is trustworthy, you have to be trustworthy. If you are looking for someone who is loyal, you have to be loyal. If you are looking for someone who is empathetic, loving, and caring, you have to be all these things first before you can attract someone who will be willing to share that kind of life with you, to pour into you. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to be everything that you want in a spouse before you can attract the right kind of spouse to your life. You have to ask the person, where and what do the person want to be in the next like 10 years? Because you have to be diplomatic about these things. You don't just go with the wind. You have to plan ahead of time. Of course, everything you do is God that a man proposes, God disposes. But you have to make your own plans and ask God to align it with His will. But you have to be prepared to face rejection and ask God to make you see rejections as redirection and protection from Him. So you have to ask what are their beliefs, what are their principles, what are their values. You need to study their pattern of living. Watch if their words match with their actions. Watch if they practice what they preach. Watch if Watch how they read the Bible. Watch their spiritual life. Are they the people who want to spend time with God? Are they the people who want to spend time with God with you? Are they the people who want to pray with you? Like in my own situation, I told you I was going to tell you my love story. I can't live without telling you my love story. So I met this lady on Facebook. A lot of ladies I've met. I asked them questions. This is what I want to do. What do you want to do? How does your spiritual life look like? Are you a religious person or a spiritual person? And I hear their answers. I ask them, what do you think about sex before marriage? And I hear their answers. Some of them, people who are proclaimed Christians, you hear them saying, no, they want to have sex before marriage. And when I ask them, okay, why do you want to have sex before marriage when the Bible clearly says you should marry before you have sex? You hear most of them making excuses that, yes, they want to test before they marry. What if they marry and they are not sexually compatible? And I asked them, okay, like, so what if you test and you are not sexually compatible? Does that mean you will go your separate ways? And what is your idea of being compatible sexually? And does that mean you will keep testing and testing people to check if you are sexually compatible? What if you end up testing like 20 people and you don't find them compatible? Do you keep testing and testing? So these are some of the things you encounter, and you must be very, very ready to ask God to make you courageous to be able to face rejection, because there will be a lot of rejection. But it's in those rejection that God builds resilience, perseverance, and strength in you. Because anybody who shows their true colors, already that means God has struck them out of the picture for you, which is a win for you.